When it comes to muscle fibers, they can contract in three different ways. You have the concentric or the positive lifting phase, which is when you are actively lifting the weight. Then you have an isometric contraction, which is when your muscle fibers contract and produce the same amount of force as the resistance of the weight, so that the weight does not move. And the third way the muscles can contract is an eccentric or negative or lowering of the weight. So in this phase, the muscle is still actively contracting, but you are stretching it, you are lengthening it and lowering it from the weight down to the starting position. So with these three contractions in mind, you can see how with the positive contraction, concentric, you are producing more force than the weight. Okay, so you're producing more force than the weight, and that's why you're moving it up. However, in isometric, you are producing the same amount of force that the weight is to your muscles, and the weight will not move. The funny thing with isometric contractions is this is why volume cannot be measured just as sets times reps, because I could hand you a barbell and a few barbell curls, but instead just have you hold it at 90 degrees elbow flexion until your muscles are exhausted, probably in a minute or so. So technically, you would have performed no work. You would have done no reps or sets, and so you should have had no stimulus, right? Well, then why are your muscles exhausted from holding the barbell for so long? So muscles are not just a product of physics, not just a product of mechanical work. If you think about the concentric portion of the lift, you are applying more force than the weight is against your muscles, and the eccentric is you applying less force than the weight is heavy, so you are lowering it. And if you kind of combine those two, they kind of net a zero amount of force. So you could say that's basically what an isometric is. You're just holding it with no movement. The forces are zero. The reason that the training works is because your muscles are getting tired. The weight is challenging enough that it is fatiguing them. Slowly, but it is fatiguing them. So this is why I use in a lot of my examples that you don't have to move the weight. You can just hold it, because that's still a muscle contraction. And if you contract your muscles as hard as you can unto exhaustion, that is where you'll find your muscles stimulated for muscle growth. So in this video, I'm hoping that you will better understand muscle contractions, how you want to perform all of them if possible, or at least even if you can only do one of those, at least you would have to do it to a point of momentary muscular failure for it to work. And it's important to remember this, because this is why you want to time your training sets, because the time factor of the entire duration of the set represents all those three contractions in one metric. How long did you contract your muscles against the load? So you probably could just hold the weight at a partial range of motion, just hold it there until exhaustion. I believe it's probably the same amount of time than if you were to perform reps, but it's probably less comfortable. It's probably more annoying. So I would rather perform reps. However, you want to perform the reps slowly in such a way that they do receive tension the entire time. Some people would actually do better doing isometric holds than their reps, because their reps are so sloppy and fast that their muscles are not getting tension the entire workout, the entire exercise. So for some people, they would actually see more benefit to just holding the weight. That way their muscles can escape the tension. But anyway, that's another topic for another video. But just today I wanted you to understand the three types of muscle contractions, and understand that if you are contracting them at all against a heavy enough sufficient load or resistance, then they will fatigue over time. You just want to find one that fatigues the muscles in a reasonable amount of time, because if it doesn't fatigue the muscles and it's taking dozens of minutes, then you know it's a steady state activity. That's what people call cardio, steady state. It's something you can do for a long period of time, and it's not intense enough for your muscles to have the adaptations for muscle size, strength, cardiovascular, metabolic, and bone and tendon strength.